This is Football Happy Hour. I'm Chris Hassel. Good to have you with us. Week 13 kicking off tonight in the Superdome. Saints hosting the Cowboys. And a lot has changed over the last month for both of these teams. Dallas entered November 6-1. The Saints entered November 5-2. The two teams combined for one win last month. Tommy Tran gets us ready for the first game of December tonight.
Week 13 of the NFL touches down to the Big Easy with the New Orleans Saints hosting the Dallas Cowboys. Thanksgiving Day at home was supposed to be a get-right spot for America's team, but after dropping a penalty-riddled overtime game to the Raiders, the Cowboys have now lost 3 out of 4 and are looking to regain the chemistry they had the first 2 months of the season.
One way or another, we've got to be better. We've got to be disciplined, focus on controlling what we can control.
As for the Saints, they haven't been the same team after losing Jameis Winston to a season-ending injury back in Week 8. They now lost 4 straight, and it's likely now or never if they have a shot of returning to the playoffs for a 5th consecutive season.
Obviously, we've got to look closely at everything we're doing and who we're doing it with. It's not like new players are going to come walking through the hallway.
Is this the week the Saints finally get back in the win column, or will the Cowboys take another step closer towards locking up the NFC East? Week 13 is about to get underway.
Cowboys 6-point favorites tonight in New Orleans. Let's welcome in the B-Boys, Brinson and Breech from the Pick 6 podcast. And Brinson, let's start with Alvin Kamara, again out. They were hoping he was going to be able to play in this one. Not going to be the case. He'll miss his 4th consecutive game. And they're also without a couple of important offensive linemen as well.
Yeah, I mean, Hassel, obviously the main thing to worry about here are my fantasy football teams, which are going to be demoralized by the lack of Alvin Kamara. Right, the number one priority across the nation. I actually think that you could make the case that Kamara, as great as he is, he's still a running back. And Mark Ingram, not Alvin Kamara. I'm not suggesting that at all. Neither is Tony Jones. But these 2 tackles, Terron Armstead, Ryan Ramczyk, you're talking about all pro level, Pro Bowl caliber guys. And the Cowboys are, getting some reinforcements back on the defensive side of the ball. This is a problem for the Saints. They are, Taysom Hill is making this first start this year at quarterback. Right? They're going to have to deal with a ton of pressure coming from Dallas. I mean, it is hard to look at this game and look at these injuries and look at everything that that the Saints are dealing with and love taking them against the spread, even though they're catching 6 and they'll probably get to 6.5 or 7.
Brinson, I want to tell you something about my fantasy team since we love talking about those. They clinched a playoff berth last week, so I'm resting Alvin Kamara as a coach's decision. I had Sean Payton do that to get ready for the playoffs. But for the actual Saints who are playing on Thursday night, this has got to be starting to get frustrating for both them and Kamara because, look, he has been out 4 games. If they thought this injury was going to be this serious from the beginning, they could have just put him on injured reserve and freed up a roster spot because, once you're on IR, you automatically miss 3 games. And again, this is going to be his 4th one. And you look at how much he means to the Saints offense. As Chris mentioned earlier, they have not won a single game since he's been out. And so trying to win a shootout against the Cowboys without your best offensive player is going to be difficult. And not just that, but now you have Taysom Hill making his first start of the season behind an offensive line that's absolutely decimated. You mentioned the guys who are out. So this is going to be rough for the Saints to try and recover from everyone they're going to be missing tonight.
Ingram, a borderline RB1 this week, according to our fantasy guys. So they're 0-3 without Alvin Kamara, but they were 0-4 with Trevor Siemian starting. So they're going to Taysom Hill now, Will, a guy who was 3-1 last season as a starter. But you think there's got to be a reason why Sean Payton didn't go to him earlier. I know he's been banged up. He's had the concussion. But if they really thought this guy could be a real quarterback in the NFL, don't you think they would have started him earlier?
Yeah, this really feels like more of a break glass in cases of emergency, and we are in a big-time emergency because we're about to miss the playoffs. I mean, Taysom Hill did go 3-1 last year, as you point out, Chris, but you look around him, he had those tackles there. He had Mike Thomas putting up big numbers almost every single week. He had a healthy Alvin Kamara for most of it, even though he didn't target him for the first 3. It's asking a whole lot of Taysom Hill to basically go in and, it feels like he has to go beat the Cowboys single-handedly. Now, if you've got him in fantasy, you should start him, even without the lack of targets, even without the tackles there, because you look at those numbers, this guy can put up points in a hurry. If he finds the end zone with his legs, his rushing prop is like 41.5 at this point, and his passing yardage is actually a little low at like 215. I think he could clear that. I wouldn't be surprised if he has a huge night tonight, even in a potential losing effort. But yeah, I mean, it's a little dicey, and you know you're in trouble when you pull the ripcord on Taysom Hill.
Well, you know what? The fact that Sean Payton waited this long to start Taysom Hill, Hill was injured, but I don't even second guess anything Sean Payton does anymore, because you look at last year when Taysom Hill had those 4 starts, a lot of people thought Jameis Winston was going to be the starter for those 4 games because they signed him to be the backup quarterback, and he just sat on the bench while Taysom Hill started. And this year, instead of Taysom Hill starting, he decided to go with Trevor Siemian. So Sean Payton just does whatever he wants. Though I will say, waiting till right now, I like the analogy by Brinson that break glass in case of emergency, because this is where the Saints are. Their playoff hopes are kind of on the line tonight. You do not want to lose this game. You do not want to lose a 5th straight. And the one thing Taysom Hill gets you is kind of the element of surprise. Sean Payton is going to be able to design a game plan that takes advantage of his skill set. The Cowboys don't know if the Saints are going to come out and throw the ball 40 times, if they're going to have Taysom Hill run the ball 25 times. They're going to have no idea. Now, I will say the Saints did not catch a break because they are going up against a Cowboys team that is coached by Dan Quinn, who actually coached against Taysom Hill in 2 of his 4 starts last year when Quinn was coach of the Falcons. So if there is one coach in the NFL right now who is familiar with going up as Taysom Hill as a starter, it is Quinn. So that is not such a great break for the Saints.
And John, the Cowboys are getting healthier on defense as well. DeMarcus Lawrence expected to be back. Dallas has lost 3 of 4. How do you expect them to respond tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just DeMarcus Lawrence. You look at the offensive side of the ball. We have CeeDee Lamb. He didn't play on Thanksgiving because of a concussion. We have Amari Cooper coming off the COVID list after missing 2 games. So the Dallas Cowboys offense, I think, is going to be back at full firepower. They're going to go out. They're going to be able to score points. I know their right tackle is out because he is on the COVID list. And yes, you have a few assistant coaches and Mike McCarthy missing. But I think the important thing for the Cowboys is that they are putting up points, because if they score 30 or 35 points in this game, I just don't think that Taysom Hill and the Saints offense is going to have the firepower to keep up with everyone that they are missing. So the Cowboys are getting healthy at the right time. They're getting guys back on both sides of the ball at the right time. And so, you know, if you win this game, you're Dallas. You can put your stinky November behind you and just move into December and move forward to getting closer to clinching that NFC East title.
First of all, Breech, I would like you to show a little more freaking respect to Mike McCarthy and his designation of Dan Quinn. He's not the coach of the Dallas Cowboys. He's not the interim coach. He's the point person for the decision-making process, in case you didn't hear the unofficial title that Mike McCarthy, who apparently is terribly fearful for his job, is giving Dan Quinn. If you listen to his interview on 105.3 The Fan in Dallas on Monday, he sounded like he was at a funeral. And it was unbelievable. The guy, they were grilling him like, what do you do? How do you bounce back from this? Now, and I do think that, like, there should be some nerves in Dallas. You know, the 3 of their 4 losses have been horrible. And the bigger concern isn't even, whether, like how Mike McCarthy's coaching this team and whether he's settling for field goals. The bigger concern is this offense, which got completely stifled by the Broncos and then scored 9 points on the Chiefs, and then, you lose to the Raiders on Thanksgiving. Those 3 losses in those 4 games are embarrassing. And this is a big spot for them in primetime, down in New Orleans against a very wounded Saints team. If Dan Quinn doesn't pull off a victory here, I think you get a little bit of toasty seats happening in old Big D.
Even though Dallas still has a 2-game lead in the division, though those teams are playing much better over this last month or so. Washington, in particular, within 2 games of Dallas going into the week. Let's get to some picks and props. Let's start with the props. Will, you're looking at Taysom Hill here. We had Pete Prisco on the set earlier today. You know he's got the affectionate nickname, maybe not so affectionate, the gimmick for Taysom Hill. I said, how many times has Taysom passed the ball tonight? Pete said, 1 time will be too many.
Well, you know what? Someone accurately, we did a pick show, and of course it's on YouTube. earlier, and somebody in the YouTube comments jumped in and said, "Why does Pete Prisco look like a pistachio?" So that I'll just leave that there. But I love the Taysom Hill over passing yards. Look, he's going to have to do everything. He's going to throw the ball. There's a good chance they're trailing, or if there's also a good chance the Cowboys stack the line of scrimmage and force Taysom Hill to throw. It's like 211, 215, somewhere in that range. Anything under 220, I think, is good. I think we see Taysom Hill get upwards of 230 passing yards in this game and easily clear the over on this prop.
Yeah, I think I'm looking at a different sports book than you guys because my book only has kicker props, so I'm going with another one this week. I am going with Greg Zuerlein over 1.5 field goals. Look, maybe this changes a little bit when Mike McCarthy is out, but in general, nobody loves kicking field goals more than the Dallas Cowboys. Over their past 6 games, they have averaged 2.7 field goal attempts per game, and Greg Zuerlein has gone over 1.5 field goals in 5 of Dallas's past 6 games. So they love sending him out there. Zuerlein usually makes it, so I love him to hit the over here.
Breech, have you ever taken a kicker under?
I don't believe the under when it comes to kickers.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
He's a fake sharp on kicker props. Is what he is. He's matching the
All right, let's move away from props then. By the way, over 210, over 209.5 for Hill passing. Zuerlein over a field goal and a half are the picks. Let's go Breech first on this one. The pick on the total here, and the total is set at 47.
Yeah, this one's a little perplexing because these teams have been both kind of funny with the totals this year. We saw the Cowboys before Thanksgiving, they went 4 straight games where the under hit every week, and it looked like their offense was never going to get better. And then, boom, Thanksgiving hits, the over hits by a mile with that 36-33 game and 69 total points. And then you have the Saints who are on this 4-game losing streak, but somehow the over has hit in 3 out of those 4 games. So you just never know what's going to happen with these two teams. And because of that, I think the Cowboys offense is going to have a big night, and that is why I am leaning toward the over.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is an easy under. I don't understand why, frankly, anyone would play the over. It's already dropped a point in some spots. It's at 46. I think it keeps ticking down leading up to the game. And the reason is that the Saints are lacking their tackles. They are lacking Alvin Kamara. They are lacking a ton of players. And not that that's going to cause them not to score, because they play at a slow pace anyway. But you know about a rushing quarterback in Taysom Hill, who's going to see a lot of rushing attempts. They are going to try and turn this game into a slog and slow everything down, play great defense, force some mistakes from the Cowboys, get a rowdy environment, get things close. Remember, Dan Quinn's going to be on the, he's usually in the booth. Now he's back to the sideline. Obviously, head coaching experience, he should be fine. But maybe that defense struggles a little bit with that transition. I think the Saints are going to try and slow this puppy down and keep it just as close and low scoring as possible. I love the under in this.
Yeah, it seems like if you go under, you're probably taking the Saints. If you go over, you're probably taking the Cowboys. Will, who are you taking against the spread?
I am taking the Saints. That's good. How did you guess that, Chris? Amazing predictive powers by you. I know. Look, I'm taking the Saints. I don't really feel good about it, to be perfectly honest. This would be more of a lean for me. I'm going to pick the Saints in my picks pools. I'm going to, if I have to, I'm not going to bet on the Saints with my, I wouldn't say hard-earned money. You see what we're doing, but I'm not going to bet on the Saints. Actually, I will bet on the under. I lean towards the Saints. I just think there are so many injuries that with those tackles out and Kamara missing, all of these things and tons more guys out.
Wait, so this is a fake pick then? You're not actually taking the Saints +6?
No. It's my pick. I'm picking it on the site. I'm picking it from all my pools. But I wouldn't bet on it. Is what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Like don't.
Okay, it's a pick. It's not a bet. Okay. Gotcha.
It's a pick. It's not a bet. I want to make that clear so people aren't like, oh, Brinson told me to hammer the Saints. No, hammer the under. I like the Saints. Don't love the Saints. And if you want to bet the Saints, wait, because it's probably going to get to 6.5 or 7. A lot of injuries. I think they find a way. I actually think they win the game outright.
Wait, what? Hang on. Wait, you've got the Saints winning the game outright, but you're not going to take them +6 on a bet?
And they can get blown out. The Cowboys can come out and light them up. Anything can happen in this game. I'm telling you. It's a Taysom Hill game. I'm not betting on Taysom Hill.
I think Brinson forgot how point spreads works because that is the only explanation for what is going on here. The guy is just, I have not seen waffling like this since my 18-month-old daughter had Eggos for breakfast this morning, Brinson. This is insanity. There is no flip-flopping on my end. I love the Cowboys here. I love that they're getting their offensive weapons back, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper. I like the fact that Dan Quinn is the interim coach / point man, as Brinson mentioned out. Former Falcons coach, very familiar with the Saints personnel, very familiar with what Taysom Hill can do on the field. And I also love the fact that the Dallas Cowboys are 6-0 against the spread against NFC teams this year. For whatever reason, horrible against AFC teams, but they are unstoppable when they're playing NFC teams.
Hey, Breech, by the way, before we get out of here, how did Dan Quinn, magical Dan Quinn, point person, do in those 2 games against Taysom Hill last year? I'm sure, based on your point there, that he probably came away 2-0 with a point differential of plus like 300.
Law of averages says he's going to win one eventually against Taysom Hill, Brinson.
That's not how that works.
You guys are amazing.
You don't know how point spreads work.
Especially Will. Will Brinson and John Breech with us here. Picks and props and fake picks. And wait. So Brinson says the Saints might win, but he's not going to take them +6 because they might also get blown out. Daily NFL fix and shenanigans with Will Brinson and John Breech and many others on the Pick 6 podcast. Download and follow.